Hello, my name is Pam Smith. I'm a member of the Lakewood chapter of the League of Women Voters, Greater Cleveland. An Ohio historical marker was recently installed at Lakewood Park. It's titled, Lakewood Women Get the Right to Vote. And there's a great story behind this marker. In 2017, one of our longtime members mentioned an important anniversary was coming up. Mary Warren told us that Lakewood women had gotten the right to vote in 1917.
I've been involved with the League of Women Voters since 1963, 57 years. My involvement with the League of Women Voters marker, I made a donation. I'm not the one who really put it together, but I'm very grateful to the people who did.
The 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution passed in 1920. How did Lakewood women get the right to vote 3 years earlier? And so our research began. Lakewood was a vibrant city of 40,000 residents in the early 1900s. Women were active in many civic activities, including voting rights. There had been 2 statewide votes on suffrage, and Lakewood women had campaigned hard for success. Unfortunately, the statewide issues failed, yet within the borders of Lakewood, the issues had passed. It was clear that the male voters of Lakewood approved of the idea of Lakewood women voting. So in 1917, the men on Lakewood City Council put the issue of women's suffrage for municipal elections on the ballot. And the registered voters in Lakewood, all men, passed it with overwhelming support. This was big news. Most women in the United States did not get the right to vote until 3 years later, when the 19th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution was passed and ratified on August 18, 1920. Lakewood was the envy of other Cleveland suburbs. The Lakewood chapter did celebrate 100 years of voting in Lakewood with a grand party in 2017 at the Lakewood Women's Pavilion. The highlight was a skit of the 1917 events.
My involvement started when the Lakewood chapter of the League of Women Voters decided to have an anniversary party for 100 years of Lakewood women's voting. How can we make history live? And we said, let's have a play. The women were quoted in their own words. The whole audience was overjoyed. We were part of them. And so the skit was a big part of our saying to each other, we think we need a historical marker. And really, those women set the tone for the city of Lakewood. It's a tone that we still maintain of civic involvement. It makes Lakewood a special place.
Out of that event came the proposal that we apply for an Ohio historical marker. Kathy Kosorik and I contacted the Ohio History Connection to begin the process. While there were many plans to celebrate suffrage activity in Ohio, our story had a very unique twist.
On behalf of the Ohio History Connection, thank you for inviting me to participate in your marker dedication today. The Ohio History Connection truly wants to congratulate you on achieving and dedicating your new Ohio historical marker. Your marker honoring Lakewood Women Get the Vote now joins the other state markers in telling the story of Ohio. There are now approximately 1,750 Ohio historical markers around the state. You are to be commended for taking the initiative to identify this important historical aspect of your community.
The application required 2 footnotes of original research for each statement on the proposed marker. Lakewood Library had microfiche reels of old newspapers. Not easy to read or copy, but fascinating nonetheless. The Lakewood Historical Society had a helpful file labeled Women's Suffrage in Lakewood. The Cleveland Public Library had archived issues of the Cleveland Plain Dealer. The Lakewood Historical Society agreed to co-sponsor the marker. Greg Palumbo, their executive director, had valuable experience with the marker application and documentation.
My involvement was really as a facilitator. The League of Women Voters Committee did a lot of the work. I was really just a sounding board, and a lot of credit goes to them. I think the placement of this marker in Lakewood Park is very important. This used to be the civic center of Lakewood, particularly at the time when women's right to vote was recognized. This was the location of City Hall at that time and would have been a very appropriate place for this marker to be placed.
As our research progressed, we were introduced to amazing women and men of Lakewood's past. Leading the fight for women's suffrage in Lakewood and in Ohio was Bernice Pike. And her grandson, John Pike, past president of the Lakewood Historical Society, had some fond memories.
The location of the marker next to the Women's Pavilion was a brilliant decision. The right of women to vote was the result of a long and extraordinary effort. My grandmother was an early joiner of the League of Women Voters. After the suffrage movement disbanded after the adoption of the 19th Amendment, most of the suffrage women joined the League of Women Voters, and my grandmother was among them.
The application for the marker was approved, and a generous grant from the William G. Pomeroy Foundation covered the cost. The City of Lakewood approved the projected site in Lakewood Park, adjacent to the Women's Pavilion. Lakewood's mayor, Megan George, was invited to welcome the marker to Lakewood.
Fun fact, my grandmother was involved in the League of Women Voters back in the late 50s and 60s. So her civic involvement really spurred my family to get involved and to be active within our community. I was thrilled to see the marker and really appreciate all the work that the League of Women Voters put into getting this up at Lakewood Park. Lakewood has been a leader for decades, and so many visitors outside of Lakewood come to Lakewood Park and see our beautiful community, and it's great that when visitors and residents alike come to visit Lakewood Park, they could see our leadership through the years.
The Public Works Department accepted delivery and stored the marker until its installation. The Parks Department installed the marker. Finally, the dedication on July 28, 2020 was a joyous COVID-19 compliance celebration.
I feel especially appreciative of our very own Kathy Thorpe and Pam Smith.
103 years ago, our community came together and embraced the rights of people who are not being recognized elsewhere. Incredibly, we're not done. While this is a historic marker, this is not a historic topic. Gender inequality still exists. Racial inequality still exists. The turmoil nationally over the past several weeks and the peaceful, productive demonstrations here in Lakewood tell me there's so much more to do. I am proud to be Lakewood's mayor and fulfill maybe one part of the vision those women had over a century ago. Let's appreciate this marker not only as a proud highlight of Lakewood's past, but as a reminder to keep moving forward in the present. Thank you.
There's a reason that it was brought to this spot and it sits here. It became City Hall in 1919, and as the right to vote was recognized, this property served as our civic center. So there's no more fitting place than this for this marker.
Bernice Pike, my grandmother, was called out on the marker as a leader of the women's suffrage campaign. She was speaking at countless suffrage meetings. She even called on women in their homes to urge them to support the movement. She spoke confidently and forcefully, and she was a very skilled organizer. When the women's right to vote was placed on the 1917 Lakewood ballot, due to the efforts of many women, including my grandmother, the state suffrage party took notice of the strong Lakewood initiative, and they provided support to the Lakewood campaign. And then, as the marker says, the men voted in November to grant women the right to vote in municipal elections. A newspaper credited my grandmother's powerful speech to Lakewood City Council as the turning point in the successful campaign.
It was a real privilege for Kathy and I to work on this marker. The more research we did, the more grateful we became for the town that we live in and the women that have gone before us.
Would you like to know more about the League of Women Voters?
The League of Women Voters has been a very great asset to Lakewood. Our mission is to educate voters, and we do that with having candidates forums, publishing a voter's guide every election year. We help them by registering them. They can go on their computers to Vote 411 and get complete information on what will be on their ballot. And hopefully, we reach the people that need to be reached to be educated voters.
The Lakewood chapter of the League of Women Voters of Greater Cleveland would like to thank the City of Lakewood, the William G. Pomeroy Foundation, and the Ohio History Connection. Thank you.